Welcome to the Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-the-minute Trump news. Join us today and every day. Here's today's news.
This is TBNN.
Ron Paul, no evidence of Russian intrusion in the U.S. political system. By Tyler Durden. With an endless barrage of both Democrats and Republicans spouting off on the situation between Trump and Russia, clogging up every possible media outlet while parroting familiar party lines, we decided to present a third-party, libertarian view. For that we grabbed the latest interview by Ron Paul, who 1 year ago told CNBC he would not support Trump as the GOP nominee, in which the anti-interventionist noted that the recent meeting between Trump and Lavrov, whose focus was the de-escalation of the Syrian conflict, is good progress between the US and Russia, but there will be plenty of individuals in this country who complain about it because it just seems like they are very content to keep the aggravation going. And yet, despite the positive overtones, the American media preferred to take a different angle, focusing on the alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 U.S. elections and the firing of the FBI chief James Comey. This is what else he said. Q. Sergei Lavrov says President Trump wants productive relations with Moscow after the previous administration soured them. Can they be improved considering the storm over the alleged ties between the Trump team and Russia? Ron Paul, absolutely. And I think that has been. What is going on right now is an improvement. I think what is going on in Syria with these de-escalation zones, I think that is good. They are talking to each other. I just don't understand why sometimes there is an impression that we shouldn't be having diplomatic conversations. All the tough rhetoric doesn't do any good. Trump's statement to me sounded pretty good. I think the whole thing about the elections, putting that aside, would be a wise thing because the evidence is not there for any intrusion in our election by the Russians. I think this is good progress, and there will be plenty individuals in this country who complain about it because it just seems like they are very content to keep the aggravation going. Right now, the relationship from my viewpoint has greatly improved. I think that is good. Q. During the media conference, some journalists again raised the question of possible Russian involvement in U.S. politics. How is it possible for such a great nation to think this way? RP, if it is a fact, we should hear about it, but we haven't. And those individuals who are trying to stir up trouble like that, they haven't come up with any facts. Nobody wants anybody's elections interfered with. But the facts aren't there, so why dwell on that? Why use that as an excuse to prevent something that we think is positive and that is better relations with Russia? I think what is happening with this conversation is very beneficial. Q. According to Lavrov, Trump also expressed his support for creating safe zones in Syria. Will this pave the way for cooperation between the two coalitions? RP, with Assad and Russia working together and getting more security for the country, at the same time the US is now talking with Russia. I think this is good. But just the acceptance of the idea that we should be talking and practicing diplomacy rather than threats and intimidation. There are obviously a lot of problems that we have to work out, but I think in the last week and the last couple of days very positive things have been happening. Q. The meeting came after the firing of the FBI Director James Comey. What do you make of the timing? RP. I don't think that firing had anything to do with the so-called investigation. I think it has to do with the credibility of Comey as such, where he was involved too politically in the issues. First, it looked like he was supporting Hillary, then the next time he was supporting Trump, and he should not have been out in front on either one of those issues. That should have been done more privately on these charges made that were unconfirmed. I think this represents poor judgment on Comey's part, and certainly, the president had the authority to fire him. It will be politicized now, and the question will be whether there will be a special prosecutor, but if there are no problems, then a special prosecutor in my estimation is unnecessary.
That's the news. Join us here every day. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. See you next time.
This is TBNN.